This one, kind of embarrassing. I mean, I certainly would say the penalties, 10 penalties. In the case of Vidarian Lowe, 3 of them on him. Embarrassing, sloppy, wiggy. I don't know. I don't know what word you would use.
They got whooped.
And so it's just I guess you're either comfortable with it or you're not watching anymore, or you're riding this season out and praying and hoping that they do what they need to do in the offseason to get back where they should be.
Now the only hope is that Drake Maye doesn't get hurt. Like, I saw your tweet yesterday, Curtis, after the game. You said if I was Drake Maye, I'd sit the rest of the season.
Absolutely. I'm watching the second half of that game. There was a couple plays where he looked like he was shaking his head a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing, but I'm sorry. I go back to Mayo. He'll join us around 9:20. The comments. Do we have those, Sean? Can we just play those one more time if we have them? But what he said after the game.
I think we were going to do it during they said
we'll do it during
we were going to do it during they said it.
Yes.
We'll do it during they said it. Very quickly. He just said what happens on the field, he has nothing to do with. His job ends when the players step between the white lines, and that is inexcusable. That is the opposite of the role of a coach. What you see on the field is a reflection of what they're being taught and what's being emphasized. Like, what is the job of a head coach if he's not responsible for what goes on between the white lines?
Now you watch to see if the players give up the remainder of the season. Like, if you watch every game, do they just start going, all right, I'm checking, all right, the U-Haul's packed at the stadium. The U-Haul's ready to go. Are these guys now getting in that mode? Because remember, he's like, we want to play that spoiler team mode. Or they just completely go the other direction. They're like, all right, yeah, we're done.
Well, Gerard Mayo told the broadcast team that he's waiting to see who is going to fly through the clouds and get to blue skies. So you'll be able to see the guys that
you can follow me on Blue Sky now. Twitter is out.
The guys that want to fly through all the way to the blue skies are the ones that will be putting the effort in. I guess
Mayo will be outside yelling at them for being dumb. I mean, it's so bad. And that game, that first half was unwatchable, absolutely unwatchable. Every time the Patriots got the ball, before you knew, 2nd and 17, and every time the Dolphins had the ball, they were down the field in 3 seconds.
Listen, I see a lot of people who want there to be change when it comes to the head coach of this football team. I don't think you're going to get one.
No way.
I think Robert Kraft is so far into this and went out of his way to tell you that he identified him as the guy to replace Bill Belichick 5 years ago.
And he's in the process of sabotaging him by not investing financially into the roster that Gerard Mayo coaches.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to make a change. I just think that there are certainly reasons why, when it comes to some of the coaching decisions that he makes in game, that maybe you can question and wonder if he's got what it takes. And we have all morning to get into this, so we don't have to get into all of it now. But he made the challenge on the catch yesterday. There was a penalty looming there anyway, so it was going to be a first down either way. He lost that challenge. They actually on the broadcast said that maybe it wasn't a catch. I just don't. I don't know if he certainly is not in-game wise what you had with the previous guy, but the previous guy was there for a couple decades.
Yeah, I just think that's kind of unfair, though.
I understand.
You can't you look at it,
but when you make a change, you're not changing the director of first impressions in an organization. You're changing the CEO.
For our show, that's actually Jackson.
So you're expecting that if you're going to replace the arguably the greatest CEO to ever be a CEO, I'm assuming that you're going to replace him with somebody that you think can operate similar to the same level.
But you are replacing a CEO that went bankrupt. It's not like you're replacing a CEO that was at the top of his game.
Depends on who you ask.
I think I might be coming to Curtis' side on this one.
What do you mean? He was awful. I mean, the CEO was not coming off of a great year.
I don't think he was awful. I think that
he did a good job last year?
Curtis, I think he was stuck with a quarterback that he didn't want. But whatever. I don't want to argue the Bill thing for
I'm just saying that it's not like you're taking. It's not like Jimmy Johnson leaving the Cowboys after a Super Bowl. You're talking about a guy that was at the end who had. I'm going to actually defend Bill in my lead, so this isn't like an anti-Bill thing. It's just the reality was that the team with the greatest coach of all time had one more win than this team currently has right now.
And you can't argue. You can't argue, Greg. You can't argue the Bill Gerard thing, or you can't say you're not going to argue that. But then you go, well, the guy that did it last year would have done a better job, or looks like he could have done a better job. Like I think
with Drake, I think he would be.
But see, I think it's.
Go ahead. What?
No, I think it's like Gerard has what he has, and it's not much, and we can't compare him to what Bill was, because Bill had decades upon decades of not only being a head coach but being a defensive coordinator.
But so to Greg's point, why are you replacing him with somebody who can't be up to snuff?
Yeah, but nobody's going to be up to snuff. Who's going to be up to snuff?
Mike Vrabel might have been. I don't understand when your automatic assumption that nobody would have come in here and been able to coach this football team better than they are now.
But if Bill couldn't do it last year, what makes you think Vrabel would have done a better job than the greatest guy of all time to do a better job with the same team that Bill couldn't do it with last year?
I think that Bill, at the end of this season, Bill will have done a better job in his last year than Gerard Mayo is doing this year. That's my opinion.
So you don't think the Patriots...
I don't have nothing wrong with your opinion. My opinion is I just think that you can't compare Gerard Mayo to the greatest quarterback of all time.
You mean the greatest coach of all time?
Yeah, the greatest coach of all time.
You automatically do. That's the way it goes when you replace somebody like
that.
Yeah,
but that's a stupid way of doing things. That's like comparing Mac Jones to Tom Brady.
I'm just suggesting what people say.
But like people say that's a stupid thing to say. How do you compare the greatest coach of all time to a guy who's in his first year as head coach? That when we used to compare Mac Jones to Tom Brady and
Wiggy, did you think Bill was washed at the end of last season? Done?
No, I didn't think he was done, but I think he was done with this football team.
Huh?
I think he was done with this football team.
But did you think he was done as a coach?
No.
Okay. So you made the decision, you're Robert Kraft, to fire him and move on.
Yes.
You should be. The expectation as a fan is that the guy that you're going to replace him with is going to be reasonable at the job.
But the difference is, and what we have to go back to, is that when the Patriots last made a coaching change, they fired Pete Carroll, they brought in Bill Belichick. Pete Carroll won 8 games, Bill won 5 in his first year.
You go back to these same facts over and over and over
Well, you're
again.
saying the expectation is the coach...
I'm not talking about Pete Carroll or Bill Belichick. I'm talking about what happened in this particular instance.
And I think it's important that when you look at when there are coaching changes in the NFL, that the expectation is not that immediately the new coach will be better than the one that you fired.
I don't think anybody thought that.
Right.
I don't think anybody thought that.
You just said that the expectation would be that he would have had a better year than Bill had last year.
No, I didn't say that. I said I think he will. But I said that he's going to be reasonable when it comes to execution. So you think he's doing a great job then?
No, not at all. I've been ripping.
Well, what are you arguing about?
I'm saying that if you look at when there are coaching changes in NFL history.
Right, but with regard to Bill and Gerard Mayo, what is your argument?
One guy's coaching with one hand tied behind his back.
It's neither of their fault. It looks like the roster's just crap. It looks like they've been handed a bunch of bad players.
But see, I would disagree with you because Bill had control, or at least we thought he had control of his roster.
Right, but I don't judge. I judge in this conversation. The only thing we're talking about is the coach, not the roster building.
All right, so if we're only talking about the coach, then I would say one coach had the ability to have what he needed because the GM and him worked well together, where the other coach, in Gerard Mayo, is coaching with one hand tied behind his back because the GM did not give him anything.
I hear you, but we also, we can argue that back and forth. I just think
But isn't that part of it, though?
Of course, but in my opinion, we all go back now to Kraft. Like, I'm done with blaming the roster on everybody else. He had an opportunity, Robert Kraft, this offseason to invest the way they did the last time they had a top pick in the first round when they spent $250 million, and they elected to make this team what it is. And then even at the deadline, you think they could have used that tackle that was traded to the Vikings at the trade deadline yesterday when Vidarian Lowe was holding everything in Miami? So I blame the owner for not investing, and I'm not the reason why I think Mayo may have a very short time as the head coach is not because he's incapable of being a good coach. It's because he is not answering these questions in a productive way, not creating faith in the fan base. And I do think the fan base right now is enraged. Mm-hmm. They are livid at what the product they're watching, the mistakes being repeated. And I think Gerard Mayo will get a lot of that heat.
It's putrid. It's putrid everywhere other than Drake Maye. It's putrid.
And he even was bad yesterday. Bad game from Drake Maye. It's
awful. Here's angry Principal Dave. Dave, good morning.
Hey, good morning, ladies. Curtis, I mean, I'm done with you. Will you stop comparing one more win, he's got one more win or one less win than the greatest coach of all time? Stop.
Yeah. You hate actual empirical data when you're a principal.
No, you just use the same data over and over again, and it's
how many wins they have. It's kind of important.
No, it's actually not.
This guy is hired
as a defensive coach. That is the problem. He cannot coach up this defense, period. If Bill Belichick was coaching this team right now, they would be 500 with Drake Maye. Easily.
David, Principal Dave, question for you. Dave, quick question for you.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you too.
What was Bill Belichick's record against Tua?
Here we go with the records against Tua. Well, you start. You pick a piece of data to back
your
your
saying
narrative.
They would have been better. He never beat them. He was 0-6.
Okay, so that's one. Those are two losses. They would have had three more wins under Bill easily. Gerard Mayo's done nothing to scheme up. Who did they take away yesterday? Bill Belichick would have taken something away yesterday. What did they take away yesterday? The run, the pass.
Bill took away my joy, but I would say then. So did Bill coach a 1-win team up to 4 wins last year? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, Wiggy said it. Bill was done with the team. He was done with Kraft. He's not done as a coach. Bill Belichick is the greatest defensive mind of all time, and he would have this team at 500 with Drake Maye easily, if not even higher than that. Greg is right. Greg's 100% right here.
Can we play what Bill said about Drake Maye on
Dave,
Kraft
thank
night?
you.
We really think Bill Belichick would have taken Drake Maye?
And I agree with you, Craig.
All right.
I agree.
I'm confused.
No.
Okay.
I agree with you. I think that if Bill's your coach and you have Drake Maye, you're better this year than what you were where they are right now.
Okay, that's it.
So
That's
my thing is this. I don't think it's fair to compare Belichick, Mayo, because I feel like Mayo is now having to coach.
Okay,
with
it might not. That's fine. It might not be fair, but that is exactly what happens.
No, I get that.
That's what happens.
But is that right though for the owner to hire a guy but not give him every piece of ammunition?
But that's what happens when you select one guy 5 years ago with limited experience and determine that he is going to replace the greatest to ever do it.
But I think
that's what happens.
Yes. But I think even even if Vrabel's the coach and you do the same thing that you did to Mayo,
but we'll never know about Vrabel. The thing is it's okay to compare, I believe, when it's been such a bad drop off on the defense. When all we were told going into this season was that Gerard Mayo is a defensive mind. This is going to be great for the team. Great for the team. You are able to compare that from last season to this. season.
Whether right or wrong. Broadcast was talking about it yesterday. Bill would a Bill coach defense yesterday would find a way to at least pressure the quarterback. Yeah. Maybe that's wrong.
And Tua was having a blast out there.
It seems accurate to me. So
no, I understand that, but a couple weeks ago, you had 9 sacks, and you were able to pressure the quarterback.
And now we know that was a Chicago Bears team that just freaking gave up.
Here's what I'll say. I think Mayo has had some issues, especially defensively, because myself included, I thought this was a better defense. I think the issue has become that they didn't give Mayo every opportunity to be successful when it came to putting players that could help this football team in place. And that's why I think he's coaching with one hand tied behind his back.
Did Elliott Wolf or Robert Kraft get in the way somehow of Gerard Mayo telling his offensive coordinator that he's got a guy playing defense who played offense for them? in prior seasons, or is that on Gerard Mayo?
No, that's on that's kind of on everybody, but it should be on Alex Van Pelt. It should be on Mayo to say, hey, we used Marcus Jones 2 years ago for a few couple of snaps,
but apparently he never said that.
Right, but if you're the new offensive coordinator coming in, you would be like, okay, who should I be looking at? Who can help us out?
It seems kind of dysfunctional, though.
No,
does that not seem dysfunctional?
It does
to
seem
you?
dysfunctional to me.
It was, but we can't say that last year was functional. It wasn't. And if we want to talk about pressuring the quarterback, the Patriots were 27th in sacks last year with the greatest defensive mind of all time. Like I understand it. We get far away from something, and we forget the bad times, and we remember that he's a brilliant coach, which he is. What this season has showed you is it's done everything Kraft didn't want to have happen. In my book, it's all on his desk that this roster is so bereft of talent.
And I'll agree with you on that point. I'll agree with you. If you want to put all of it on Kraft as far as the roster and the talent, then that I'll agree with you. And Kraft should have did a better job to help Mayo and say, hey, listen, this is your first year head coach. We're going to get as much talent around you as possible, and they didn't do that. And I think if you would have asked Gerard Mayo to a man, he won't say it on air, but I'm willing to bet you if you said, do you think you were given a fair shot this season, he would say no.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will talk with Gerard Mayo here from Gillette Stadium at about 9:15 on a Patriots Monday.